The unthinkable has happened. What was once only a plot to a movie or TV show has become real. The dead have risen from the grave, hungry for the flesh of the living, not just for consumption, but to increase their own numbers with the zombie infection. You and a small group of survivors have banded together to face the apocalypse of the undead. You have some food and medical supplies, as well as a few weapons to defend yourself. But now what? Here is the top 5's essential guide to surviving the zombie apocalypse. Lock the doors, sit back, and pay attention. Zombie combat is a last resort. The zombie apocalypse is not a video game where you will be scored for every one of the undead you kill. Your priority is survival, and as such, you should try to avoid any kind of contact with the zombie hordes, since engaging them in combat puts you and your group at the greatest risk. Remember that the zombie apocalypse is as much about avoiding becoming one of the undead as it is about anything else. Close quarters, hand-to-hand or knife combat is an extremely risky affair due to the possibility of infection, and if any of your group is forced into this situation, even if they are victorious, they should be put under quarantine from the majority of the group for at least 24 hours with one person, preferably armed, watching for signs of infection. If the signs do show, then for the good of the group, you will have to kill that person before full zombification takes hold. Remember, infection cannot be reversed, and so that person has already been lost. Killing them now is a kindness. Do not get overconfident if you have access to firearms. While there are significant benefits to guns, such as being able to take out a zombie quickly, and at long range, thus reducing the chances of infection, they are also generally noisy, and this can have the unwanted effect of attracting other zombies, or even hostile survivors to your area. Also, you'll be limited by how much ammunition you can carry, and just as importantly replace. You may have to decide which you need more in your group as you travel, food and water, or ammunition. Guns should be used to get out of trouble quickly, and not to go looking for it. Do not barricade yourself inside a makeshift fort. Many argue that George A. Romero's movie, Dawn of the Dead, is the definitive zombie movie. However, the characters make one very fatal mistake at the very start of the movie. They barricade themselves inside a shopping mall. While it's true, this afforded them with a wealth of supplies in the short term, it eventually became clear that they could not stay there indefinitely, as the supplies ran out. However, the time spent in the mall meant that hordes of zombies descended upon them, making escape all the more difficult. The vital lesson here is not to be fixed to one location. While it's important to have shelter, you must be able to abandon it quickly should you find yourself about to be overrun by the undead. For that reason, for every shelter you find or build, you must have an escape plan in place. That includes readily packed food, water, medical supplies, and easily carried weapons. Your plan should ideally also have a destination in mind, so that if any member of your party is separated in a hectic evasion, they have somewhere to head towards to rejoin you. Anyone separated from the group for any period of time should ideally be quarantined for 24 hours. From the moment you relocate to the new shelter, you must immediately start work on your next escape plan, taking into consideration what we will discuss in number 3. Please note, you may be thinking a mobile home is ideal for your needs, but think again. Firstly, it's a big and noisy target for the zombies or hostile survivors to follow, and cannot overcome obstacles easy. Secondly, it requires fuel, which may become difficult to come by in an apocalyptic landscape, and there is a chance it could run out at a crucial moment. Similarly, it could suffer a mechanical breakdown when you need to move quickly. If you do plan to use a vehicle then, it should only be to move over large distances quickly, such as towards a known safe zone, and ideally be a 4x4 with cross-country performance. Study zombie behaviour. Okay, so you've done your best to avoid the undead walking the streets. However, this is the zombie apocalypse, and so it's inevitable that you will encounter them at some point. You should still avoid fighting if you can, but this is also a good chance to study zombie behaviour. This is important because understanding zombie behaviour can help determine what actions you and your family will take in the future to increase your chances of survival. The kinds of things to consider when observing zombie behaviour can include: are all the zombies physically the same, or does there appear to be levels of zombification? As their undead bodies age, do they appear to get more fragile? Do all zombies behave the same? Do they operate with a hive mind mentality, or are they individuals? Will zombies fight one another for live flesh to feed on? Do zombies retain basic knowledge from their previous lives? Do they have some problem-solving skills? How do zombies react to nature? Are there animals or terrain they appear to avoid? What stimulates a zombie to act? Are they attracted to certain noises or sights more than another? Maintain contact with the authorities. The general belief is that the centralized government will fall immediately upon the outbreak of the apocalypse. However, in most Western countries, such as the UK and the US, there are major disaster protocols in place should contact be lost with the national government. These protocols were devised during the Cold War and were expected to be used in the result of a nuclear war, but would also be used during the zombie apocalypse. Local government, state, country, or cities in a major disaster would be granted special powers of authority from the national government to deal with the needs of their respected areas. Their priorities would be to re-establish law and order amongst the survivors, provide medical and humanitarian assistance, and attempt to regain contact with the central government as part of a nationwide effort to restore the country. So, while you may be cursing your city councillor's name because of that speed bump he put on your route to work, he or she may one day hold the key to your salvation. In the age of 4G mobile technology, there are a number of ways to contact the authorities, providing that electrical power to mobile phone towers was maintained in some capacity. Land-based phone lines should also be tested at every opportunity, since they often operate off their own power lines. Failing that, abandoned emergency vehicles are an excellent way to communicate with the outside world, since they are equipped with portable communication equipment that not only have their own power source, but would likely already be tuned into the frequency the authorities are using. Finally, you should always keep watching the skies for the military, law enforcement, or even media helicopters. These might be difficult to communicate with if you do not have a radio, and you should always be wary of visual communication techniques, like smoke signals or signal lamps, since again, these can attract unwanted attention in your immediate area. However, observing where these aircraft are going could give an indication of the nearest safe zone. Decide who's important. Conventional thinking says that there is strength in numbers, but unfortunately, this may not be the case. The brutal reality of the zombie apocalypse is that not everyone can contribute to your group's survival, and in the harsh social economics of the situation, this may result in you having to decide to force someone out of the group for the rest to have a better chance of survival. This seems extremely cruel, but history has repeatedly shown that in survival situations, emotions such as sympathy and empathy has led to greater tragedy, with the group being lost because of one person who, through no fault of their own, is no longer able-bodied and becomes a burden on the others. Therefore, the no one gets left behind mentality should be quashed at every opportunity, and the leading numbers of the group should repeatedly declare their willingness to leave voluntarily if they become a liability to the others. This will foster an atmosphere of self-sacrifice, making it easier on the group if the time ever comes to cast one person off. Additionally, you may encounter other survivors who wish to join your group. Remember that every extra person puts that much more of a drain on your supplies, so be very careful who you allow to join. In this instance, you will have the unenviable task of deciding who can join and who must be chased away. Some people can be a great asset to the group, such as those with specialist medical training, or have experience living off the land. But if they can't significantly contribute to your group, then you may find yourself having to fight them off. Don't underestimate the value of children to your long-term survival prospects. You will be the first mature generation to face the zombie apocalypse, but they will be next. And as you get older, they will become stronger, smarter, and become a major contributor to the group, whereas your own contribution may deteriorate with age. Hopefully by then, you will have joined a community in a government-controlled safe zone, or established one yourself. The zombie apocalypse will not be a short-term incident, but rather it will reshape the future of the human race. It will be down to them, not us, to carry the torch of human life into the middle of the 21st century and beyond.